Hi everyone, this week we're focusing on those very early days in the life of our First Lady of Jazz, Lil Hardin Armstrong. Hi everybody, welcome back to Wild Women of Song, Great Gal Composers of the Jazz Era. I'm Pamela Rose. I want to talk today about Lil Hardin Armstrong. We know about Lil Hardin mostly as a footnote to her very famous husband, Louis Armstrong. And certainly much has been said about how important she was to his career, but she in and of herself deserves a certain amount of respect as being one of those very early women in jazz. So she was born in Memphis. Her mother, Dempsey, she had a very strong, church-going, good mother who wanted nothing better than to elevate her daughter beyond the role of cook and domestic service that she had to endure in her lifetime. Dempsey was unusual because she had been sent to school, knew how to read and write, made sure that her daughter, Lillian, learned all those things. And Lillian, right from the beginning, loved music. She played songs in the church, but she says that even early on, that she had a little something when she played those songs. It would sometimes create quite a raised eyebrow from her mother, that perhaps she was putting just a little too much sauce on that sacred music. Her mother saved up a lot of money and sent her to Fisk University, which is a really phenomenal institution that deserves its own chapter. But I don't think that she stayed there very long, and the history is a little muddy about that. Apparently, this was the first year of a new director at Fisk, and she was big on rules. And Lillian, it must be said, although she was a very good girl, did not love a lot of rules. So she came back home and was home figuring out what to do next, when her mother found in her bedroom a copy of the sheet music St. Louis Blues. This was, as far as her mother was concerned, the devil's music. And her mother, Dempsey, was terrified that Lillian was going to be infected by what Memphis was at that time, which was, alive with music, but also prostitution, cocaine, whores, gambling. Dempsey was determined to move them out of Memphis. She moved to Chicago with her mother and happened into Jones' sheet music store. So Lillian, apparently, even though she had received quite a whipping for that St. Louis Blues that her mother had found in the room, in fact, it's described as whipping with a broom handle many times in many accounts, so this was very impressive punishment that she got. Still loved this music. Went to Jones' sheet music store and asked to hear what was new. They used to have music demonstrators at these stores. The demonstrator was supposed to show the prospective client this piece of music, and of course, if they played it really well, that would ensure the sales. Lillian was so frustrated at the song demonstrator that she apparently just pulled the music out of his hand and started playing. And the story goes that not only was the demonstrator impressed, but so was the rest of the staff, and a couple of the clients came over, and suddenly they wanted to buy that piece of music. And so they offered Lil a job. Now, they thought she was a schoolgirl. She was 19 years old at the time. She says she weighs about 85 pounds. She was very youthful looking. She wore these little school dresses. They called her Little Old Thing. They just loved her, and everybody thought of her as a schoolgirl. And I guess she just thought, well, that's okay. She wasn't going to correct them on that behalf. So she pretended that she had to wait till school was over every day to go work at the store. She was working there for $3 a week, and her mother had no idea where she was. But Lillian was so happy because her feeling was that she could learn every single piece of music in the store and every piece of music that was new. And in truth, that is what she did. She really was continuing her music education. One day, Jelly Roll Morton came into the store. It was as if the crowds were going to part when they saw him walk in, and he sat down, and people were so excited he was there. And sure enough, he sat down and played about 4 or 5 pieces of music. And when he was done, Lil said he sort of clapped his hands together like this, as if to say, "That's how it's done, folks." She was so impressed with the rhythmic quality of his playing and said that from that moment on, she was inspired to play like that. She said that she only weighed 85 pounds, but from that day on, all 85 pounds of her went into her playing. And in fact, that's the way that we think of Lil Hardin. In later years, people would comment about her, especially when she was backing up Louis Armstrong. And we heard her on those recordings. They would comment about her that she was no Art Tatum, and certainly she wasn't. She wasn't that kind of a player. Lil Hardin Armstrong was a phenomenal rhythm player. And she felt the rhythm, and she knew how important it was to this music. And that was a great contribution that she made.